This video is sponsored by Merrick Health. I am about to fill you in on a secret you had no clue about. Pro wrestling is predetermined and scripted. Obviously, we all know that, but the true question is, what are the secrets of pro wrestling and how do we suspend your disbelief? Well, fear not, my friends. Luckily for us, we have the answer. Exposed. Pro wrestling's greatest secrets. This was a documentary done by NBC in the late 90s that was supposed to pull the curtain back, tell all the tricks, all the secrets of how the business was actually done. And as a former WWE wrestler, we're gonna review this tape together. I'm gonna let you know what they got right, what they got wrong, or were they like every other snake oil salesman in the 90s, just trying to make a quick buck? Let's find out together. But first, if we're gonna go back to the 90s, then let's really go back.
Tonight, 8 masked wrestlers will enter the ring in this deserted arena and expose some of the greatest secrets of all. The secrets of pro wrestling.
As we begin Exposed Pro Wrestling Secrets, remember we're at a different time. Although the internet existed in 1998 when this came out, the internet was not what it is today. You couldn't find all the information you can today. It wasn't as easy as if you want to see a match, just put it into YouTube and have it show up. What happened at shows was either witnessed, you watched it on television, or it was told and retold by those who were there. So it was a lot easier to keep a secret back then. Now, after a Monday Night Raw, after a SmackDown, after a Dynamite, you'll have everybody and their brother commenting on it. And just realize, people wanted to keep kayfabe, and by kayfabe, protecting the business. They wanted to keep that alive a lot more in 1998 than they do now.
Every wrestling match is filled with explosive action. Violence looks real because the men in the ring employ secret tricks.
Wrestling matches have one thing in common, all of them, and that is a collar and elbow lockup. You hardly ever see the heel, the bad guy, start the match hot. That comes later in your career. Once you're seasoned, once you know psychology, once you know what your crowd is expecting, and once you and whoever you're working with has a history, there has to be a reason you're starting a match off hot, and it's definitely not the basics.
Wrestling basic number 1, the body slam.
Most people think when you're body slammed in the ring, it doesn't hurt. Nothing can be further from the truth.
They're talking about 5 basics, and basic number 1 is a body slam. No, I mentioned it. Basic number 1 is a collar and elbow lockup. I get it, they're trying to show secrets, but there's a lot of secrets that can be told. There's a lot of story arcs you can tell in a simple lockup. If 2 guys lock up and maybe one guy is twice the size of the other guy, the story in that simple lockup is the bigger guy shoves the guy back 2 or 3 times, and then the 3rd time, as he's going for it again, the smaller, the baby face, the good guy, outthinks him, ducks under, and shoves him into the corner. And as the heel, the bad guy, hits the corner, being outsmarted makes him mad, enrages him. That's the basics. That's how wrestling matches worked. A body slam, it's not, yes, it is a basic move, but I wouldn't put it basic number 1.
First, Private Payne isn't lifting Ben Hurt by himself. They're actually working together to pull off this trick.
I will give them credit, though. They are 100% accurate when they talk about how the person who is getting slammed is as important on the body slam as the person delivering the slam.
It's really Ben who's pushing off of Private Payne's thighs to launch himself into the air. See? There's the push-off. Private Payne isn't trying to hurt his opponent. He's actually trying to help him. by not slamming him down until his head is safely tucked in. He avoids injury by landing flat on his back and not on his head.
That I will give him credit for. So it wasn't completely the shits. It was just partway the shits. Next, let's see what basic number 2 is.
Now for basic rule number 2, the punch. So how do the wrestlers avoid getting hurt? Here's the secret: an open fist, which doesn't pack any real punch. Unlike movie stuntmen, wrestlers don't swing and miss. They make light contact so their opponent will know when to react.
Not going to completely destroy this. They were right about some things. Some guys work light, some guys work a little stiffer. Bob Holly, Booker, Jericho. These guys, they hit you hard in safe places and you would feel it. I was one of those guys. I admit it, I was a pretty stiff worker. I wasn't gonna hurt you, but you were gonna feel it. If I was in the ring with you and I went to hit you on the back, I wasn't providing a light touch. When I was learning the art, Dr. Tom Pritchard got in the ring with me and I went to lock up and then take an arm and he immediately pulled off. The sheer force that I was holding onto him with, the fact that I was holding him firmly was too much. And those guys, they came from a light touch is all you need. And I completely understand. That's going to protect not only the person you're in the ring with, but that's also going to protect your body. And to hell with their secrets. I'm going to give you a secret right now. When you're providing a light touch, when you're not squeezing, the more you squeeze, the more energy, the more blood you're pumping through your body. That's gonna blow you up or tire you out a lot quicker. The lighter touch you have, you're gonna be able to go a lot longer. And that's a secret that a lot of guys, like Triple H, for instance. Triple H can go all day long in the ring. And the reason, he's not exerting all that energy on something as silly as grabbing someone harder. That took me a long time to learn because I would lock up with somebody, put them in a headlock, and then just immediately flex and be pumping my arms out and just wrenching it, not putting pressure on them, but putting pressure on me, blowing myself up quicker. As far as not clenching your fist or keeping an open hand, some guys might do it, but I also know that Murphy's Law states that what can go wrong will go wrong, and eventually you're going to hurt or break your finger if you employ that technique, because you're going to go to throw a punch, someone's going to duck, and your hand is going to be limp, and the minute you hit your hand on their head, you're going to break your hand. So I would always clench my fist. I wasn't clenching it to where I wanted to do damage, but the secret of throwing punches is just doing it. Practice it until you get good, not throwing them until that day, not keeping your hand unclenched. I don't know, maybe some people do it. I didn't.
On to basic move number 3, the stomp. They're creating another illusion by making the punching sounds with their feet.
A lot of times you can use a stomp to get a sound, but you can also use your own body to get a sound. For instance, if I throw a punch, a lot of times you're watching this, you're not watching this hand, but I'm going to get a sound out of this hand you're not watching. Right there. And you don't need to necessarily stomp, but it is easy because the stomp, you can hear it. The ring is set up with planks. People also think it is a trampoline. It is not. Long wooden planks go across the entire surface of the ring. So that sound you hear when someone stomps, it's actually wood vibrating, recoiling, and coming back. And you're hearing the wood vibrate against itself and vibrate against that metal. That's where the sound comes from. But you don't only have to use that to get sound. Like I've showed you, there's several ways I can use my own body to get sound out of a lot of things.
Here's basic move number 4, the kick. There's no real strength behind the kick because there is no kick. The All-American boy simply holds his foot up and brute force runs into it. The foot does make contact, but not where you think. Brute Force's hand, not head, takes the force of the blow, while his arm secretly guides the foot to its target.
As far as the kick, they were accurate with that kick, but there are several different types of kicks. I know Randy Orton throws a pretty devastating kick. Umaga used to throw a pretty devastating kick to the head. Every kick is different, depends on the person giving it, depends on the person taking it. To say that every time the foot is just going to be up there and the person taking the kick is going to run into it at their speed, it's just not accurate. And to prove that, I give you Goldberg kicking Bret Hart when they were both in WCW. Just goes to prove all kicks are not created equal. Depends on who's taking the kick, but most importantly, depends on who's delivering the kick.
Finally, basic move number 5, the headbutt. With his hand on the All-American boy's head, Brute Force drives his forehead into his own thumb, pulling sharply away just as he connects. The audience goes right along for the ride.
I give him credit. The headbutt, that's exactly how I was taught. Grab, headbutt your own thumbs.
Now that you know the secrets behind these 5 basic moves, you'll never look at wrestling the same way again.
Well, I'm happy to see what they consider as the basics to putting a wrestling match together. But what they failed to mention was the basics on living a longer, healthier, happier life. And that's where today's video sponsor, Merrick Health, comes in. Insurance companies regularly deny progressive treatment options. And primary care physicians, well, they often refuse to order comprehensive lab work. Merrick Health takes the hassle and stress out of hormone and health tests by providing comprehensive, affordable, and easy to access blood testing. They offer lifestyle interventions, over-the-counter supplements, and prescription treatment options such as testosterone replacement therapy and sexual enhancement. I teamed up with Merrick Health to offer a turnkey optimization package designed for those driven to maximize performance and support longevity with the most elaborate testing on the market. So to get the same panel and medical oversight, click the link in the description, merrickhealth.com/Maven. And use code MAVEN to save 10% at checkout. And I've said it before, I will say it again, none of us enjoy the aging process, and I wish I had Merrick years ago to help me wage this battle, but I have it now. You can too, so join me in discovering a healthier, happier you.
You can lose every match in the world. If you know how to sell, you could become a superhero because people will love you.
He just said something I agree with 100%, and that is, you can lose every match, but if you know how to properly sell, you can become a star. Why is that? The fans have to have somebody that they want to get behind. A lot of times we're taught at an early age that we want to see the bully go down. In movies, when you see the bully get theirs, you kind of feel good on the inside. That's basically what wrestling is. It doesn't matter your win-loss record if you're always that guy that's gonna fight back, that's got no quit in you.
First, here's one of pro wrestling's fabulous fakes, the suplex. Here you can see Slither's neck being supported by Skullduggery's elbow. When the wrestlers drop to the ground, Slither secretly uses his opponent's arm to cushion his fall.
They are accurate with the way they described it, but a suplex is designed to work the back, not necessarily the neck. So I've never considered someone doing a suplex as working the neck. It's just overall the back. And that's why when someone goes down and you see them rile up from a suplex, they're grimacing on their lower back, not their neck. Again, I'm a stickler. I know it. I need to be a little bit more open-minded. Play the next one.
The man who orchestrates this big scam is called the Booker.
As a booker, your main job is putting two people together that'll draw money.
As the crowd enters the arena, the Booker is in the lobby, passing out specially made signs.
I have never, and I mean never, seen a booker put out signs, hand out signs to the fans. I'm not saying that it never happens or hasn't happened. I'm sure it has. All I'm saying is I've never seen it. They might hand out certain things that revolve around someone's gimmick that they want people to hold up maybe during their entrances, but to hand out signs to put people over, again, I've never seen it. Could happen, just hasn't been at any of the umpteen thousand wrestling shows I've been to.
In the ring, the wrestlers do the booker's bidding. If he tells the good guy to lose, he loses. But how he does it is up to him and his partner.
Not with all the bookers I've worked with. Most booking agents want you to tell a story. They want something to happen. And why? Because they want to give people a reason to come back the next show. They want to keep a story going. So to say that, you know, as long as if the booker wants the baby face to lose, it doesn't matter how they do it. Nah, they're going to tell you who's going to go over or who's going to win and how. Whether it be a submission, a pinfall, a clean victory, maybe a DQ, a disqualification. They're insinuating that as long as you do the booker's bidding, it doesn't matter how the match ends. Not with the booking agents I've met. Most booking agents, they want to control as much about the match as possible. And it's their show. They have every right to feel that way.
Yeah, they don't hurt that much.
Why? 4 inches of foam rubber padding. Softer than an orthopedic pillow.
Well, not that damn soft.
The secrets of the ring don't end there.
A wrestling ring is different from a boxing ring. A boxing ring has a very hard mat. A wrestling ring needs, in most cases, a little bit of give.
Hidden beneath the ring is a giant spring that cushions the wrestlers' falls and gives them some real bounce.
Maybe some of the rings that these guys have worked with do have those things. I've never seen a ring that actually had a spring set up in the middle. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I personally have not seen it. I have not seen rings really that use OSB or plywood. I've always seen the rings that have the long planks across the entire ring. And the longer the wooden planks, the more natural give that wood is going to have when someone gets slammed. So again, that's just what I've seen. As far as the canvas and having some foam padding underneath it, that is accurate. And obviously, the more foam padding, the better for the guys.
But lurking below is a bigger, more deceptive secret. A microphone sends those crashes and bangs through the arena's speaker system, amplifying them 100 times over.
And as far as the microphone, that is accurate. And the bigger shows, a lot of times they'll have mics on all 4 corners. So you're getting the benefit of that bone-crushing sound, no matter which side it happens on. And I'm sure some rings do use plywood. OSB is a naturally giving material, but it's more for home building, not ring construction. Probably does get used. I just haven't seen it.
The real purpose of the shakedown is to give the ref time to pass on last-minute instructions from the booker to his wrestlers. Hear it from the ref himself.
We're gonna need a couple extra minutes in the main event, okay? So we need you to jumpstart the crowd a little bit, jump the guy at the bell.
And this is exactly how it would happen. The ref would, because again, he's being alerted from the back. You know, we need to make up some time. I need them to cut 2 minutes. We would always hear have them start hot, but he uses have a jump start. Same thing. If I heard jump start, I wouldn't be like, huh? What the hell's that? Now I would know exactly what they were talking about. So good on you, Exposed. Good on you.
One of his cheats is called the blind eye, where he conveniently overlooks an illegal move in order to stir up the fans.
You want the ref to miss certain things, but it has to be a reason for it. The ref can't just turn right before a hot tag or a tag of any nature if there's not a reason. That's why another person has to draw him in. There has to be a reason.
The villain's job is to act as despicable as he can. He wants the crowd to really hate him. There's another character planted in the audience that you'd never expect to be on the payroll. And when she plays her big scene, she creates more heat than you could ever imagine. Can you pick out the plant? It couldn't be this sweet old lady.
Hey believe he pie-faced the granny. The stunt granny. Again, it's my experience is all I can speak to. I've never seen an actual plant that you could physically assault. Now, that said, there are shills, there are plants all the time in a WWE show. If you see a police officer or a security guard that runs out that maybe takes a bump, most of the time those are local workers, local indie guys that they're there, you know, like they said, on the payroll. They're getting money for what they do, but they are a part of the show, a part of the action. They're never going to do anything that's going to run the risk of injuring a fan, because obviously you do not want that lawsuit. So we do have plants, we do have people that are a part of the show, people, a lot of times indie workers. I've never seen a stunt granny, and best believe anybody that's taking any type of abuse or runs the risk of an injury, it's someone that's in the business.
He then extends his arms, creating as much surface area as possible to cushion the fall. The impact is absorbed by his feet and shoulders, and not by his spine.
I don't think they've ever done a backdrop before, because you're landing properly and you can absorb some of the impact with your feet. But to say that your spine's not absorbing any of the impact, no. Your spine's absorbing most all of the impact. Backdrops do hurt, and the higher up you get does give you more time to get in a correct bumping position. But you can't fake gravity.
The idea is to hit the table in the middle, at its weakest point. It's simple physics. Since the table is softer than the concrete floor, it breaks the wrestler's fall.
Everything they said about the tables was accurate. Particle board, it's easy to break. You don't have to have a rigged table. You don't even have to have a table that has been sawed through. Just simple physics, like they mentioned, a human body going down on the middle, it's going to break the table. And I love it, they even said it, the table is going to help break your fall as you go down. If I'm going to get power bombed or slammed or anything, I would rather go through a table 100 times out of 100.
Juicing is causing yourself to bleed.
With the concealed blade, he secretly makes a small incision in the crease of his brow. He knows exactly where to cut.
I mentioned in a previous video all about getting color, about making gigs, and they call it juicing. I've heard it called juicing too. We always called it getting color. They also mention how the ref can pass along the gig. Again, that depends on who's doing it. Most of the guys that I knew, they wanted control of the gig. They wanted to make sure that it was on them at all times, because if you have to get color, I don't want to have to go backstage to whoever's paying me and say the ref didn't have it. That's not going to fly. Most guys are like that. They want to have everything on them. However, some guys, they do. They want to get it from the ref. Doesn't matter. There's no right or wrong way to do it. I give him credit. That's a hell of a swipe he took on his forehead. And I promise you, his forehead shows that scar. All those scars, he's probably done that a million times, because you could tell with just the ease by which he did it. He didn't think twice about it. It's just part of the business. And I'm fortunate that by the time I got there, guys were showing me, hit, twist, squeeze, you remember from previous videos, and the same effect can be gotten.
And now the most dangerous finishing move in all of wrestling. The pile driver. Here's how Private Payne avoids a broken neck. His head is tucked up between his opponent's thighs, so it doesn't really slam into the mat.
The more we learn about the human condition and some of the moves, the more moves that get outlawed, the pile driver being one of them. But stuff like the leg drop, the hurricanrana, the backbreaker, obviously, we all can giggle because we know they're not finishing maneuvers. But I understand what they were doing for this.
If you still got the guts to ask any pro wrestler, is it fake? Step into the ring and we'll show you how fake it is.
What they were doing is in essence what we're attempting to do here on this channel. Shed some light while educating and making sure everyone is a smarter, more respectful wrestling fan. So I actually commend them on what they were doing. I don't agree with everything they were doing, and they were just flat out wrong with some things, but I understand what they were doing. And going back to finishers, which ones hurt the most? Which ones hurt the least? To find out, watch the video on screen.